When discussing the greatest martial artist of modern times, two names consistently rise to the top. Jet Li, the lightning-fast Wushu champion turned Hollywood icon, and Dan Inosanto, the legendary Filipino martial arts master and Bruce Lee's most trusted student. Both men represent different philosophies of combat, different eras of martial arts evolution, and different approaches to the warrior's path. In their respective primes, these masters would have represented the ultimate clash between traditional Chinese kung fu excellence and innovative Filipino martial arts mastery. Jet Li's unprecedented achievements as a five-time national Wushu champion of China transformed him into an international film star and master of multiple kung fu styles. His journey from Beijing's competitive Wushu circuits to Hollywood's biggest action films demonstrated the power of traditional martial arts when refined to perfection. Meanwhile, Dan Inosanto's revolutionary contributions as Bruce Lee's training partner and pioneer of Filipino martial arts in America created a legacy that continues to influence combat sports today. Inosanto didn't just preserve ancient fighting systems, he evolved them, becoming the teacher to countless martial arts legends, including some of the biggest names in mixed martial arts. The cultural impact of both warriors cannot be overstated. They bridged Eastern and Western martial arts philosophies, inspiring millions of practitioners worldwide to pursue the warrior's path. Where Jet Li showed the world the beauty and lethality of traditional Chinese combat through cinema, Dan Inosanto demonstrated the practical effectiveness of Filipino fighting systems in real-world applications. Jet Li's approach to combat represents the pinnacle of traditional Chinese martial arts refined for modern application. His foundation in Wushu provided him with explosive speed, incredible flexibility, and picture-perfect technique that could transition seamlessly between different fighting ranges. Li's mastery encompassed multiple styles, including Northern Shaolin, Changquan, and various weapon forms, giving him an arsenal of techniques that emphasized fluid movement, deceptive timing, and devastating strikes delivered from unexpected angles. The Chinese martial arts legend's strength lay in his ability to chain techniques together in flowing combinations that created openings while simultaneously defending against counterattacks. His footwork was particularly exceptional, allowing him to cover distance rapidly or evade attacks with minimal movement. Li's training emphasized both external power generation through proper body mechanics and internal energy cultivation, creating a fighter who could deliver tremendous force while maintaining perfect balance and control. In contrast, Dan Inosanto's fighting philosophy centered on adaptability and practical effectiveness rather than aesthetic perfection. His background in Filipino martial arts, particularly Kali, Escrima, and Arnis, gave him expertise in weapons-based combat that translated into devastating empty hand techniques. Inosanto's approach emphasized simultaneous attack and defense, using angular movements and trapping techniques to control distance and timing. What made Inosanto particularly dangerous was his integration of multiple martial arts systems. Beyond his Filipino martial arts foundation, he incorporated elements of Wing Chun, Junfan Gung Fu, Thai boxing, and grappling arts. This eclectic approach meant that opponents could never predict which fighting system he might employ at any given moment. His training under Bruce Lee also instilled in him the importance of intercepting attacks and using an opponent's energy against them. In a hypothetical encounter between these martial arts titans in their prime, the clash would represent a fascinating study in contrasting approaches to combat effectiveness. The engagement would likely begin at long range, where Jet Li's superior mobility and kicking techniques would give him an initial advantage. Li's ability to close distance rapidly with explosive footwork while delivering powerful kicks could potentially end the fight before it truly began. began. However, Dan Inosanto's experience in real-world combat situations and his training methodology focused on dealing with unpredictable attacks would serve him well. His understanding of distance management and timing, honed through decades of sparring with diverse opponents, would allow him to weather Lee's initial assault while looking for opportunities to trap or control Lee's limbs. The middle range would prove crucial to determining the outcome. Here, Inosanto's trapping skills and simultaneous attack-defense techniques would come into play against Lee's flowing combinations and superior speed. Lee's traditional training emphasized creating distance to unleash devastating techniques, while Inosanto's Filipino martial arts background taught him to smother attacks and work in close quarters where weapons techniques translated into brutal elbow and knee strikes. If the fight moved to close range, both fighters would find themselves in unfamiliar territory for different reasons. Lee's training, while comprehensive, focused primarily on striking at optimal ranges where his techniques could develop full power. Inosanto's close-range expertise would seem to give him an advantage, but Lee's conditioning and structural strength from years of demanding Wushu training would make him formidable even in cramped quarters. Jet Li's primary strengths include his phenomenal speed, technical precision, and ability to generate tremendous power through proper body mechanics. His years of competitive Wushu created a fighter with exceptional timing and the ability to read an opponent's movements almost instinctively. Li's conditioning and flexibility allowed him to attack from angles that most fighters couldn't achieve, and his mental discipline under pressure was proven through years of high-level competition. However, Li's weaknesses might include his reliance on optimal spacing and his training in forms-based martial arts rather than full-contact fighting. While his technique was flawless, his experience in unpredictable, chaotic combat situations was more limited compared to someone who spent years developing practical fighting systems. Dan Inosanto's strengths lie in his adaptability, practical experience, and deep understanding of combat timing developed through decades of training with elite fighters. His ability to seamlessly blend multiple martial arts systems made him unpredictable, while his focus on realistic combat scenarios prepared him for the unexpected. Inosanto's mental approach to fighting, influenced by Bruce Lee's philosophy of using no way as way, allowed him to adapt his strategy mid-fight based on what his opponent presented. Inosanto's potential weaknesses might include his advancing age during his prime years compared to Lee's youth and athletic peak, as well as possibly lacking the pure speed and explosive power that Lee's specialized training developed. While Inosanto's techniques were highly effective, they might not have possessed the devastating knockout power that Lee could generate. Based on this comprehensive analysis of both fighters' tools, strengths, and weaknesses, I believe Dan Inosanto would emerge victorious in this hypothetical encounter. While Jet Li possessed superior speed, athleticism, and technical precision, Inosanto's advantage lay in his practical combat experience and adaptable fighting philosophy. The determining factors would be Inosanto's ability to neutralize Li's speed advantage through superior timing and distance management, his experience in dealing with unpredictable combat situations, and his integration of multiple martial arts systems that would prevent Lee from finding a consistent rhythm. Inosanto's training methodology, developed through years of working with Bruce Lee and other elite martial artists, prepared him specifically for facing opponents with superior physical attributes. However, this would be no easy victory. Lee's exceptional speed and technical skill would create numerous dangerous moments where one perfectly timed technique could end the fight. The battle would likely be decided by Inosanto's ability to weather Lee's initial storm and gradually impose his will through superior tactical understanding and practical combat experience. This hypothetical matchup represents more than just a fight between two individuals. It symbolizes the eternal debate between traditional martial arts mastery and practical fighting effectiveness, between aesthetic perfection and adaptive combat philosophy. Both approaches have merit, but in a real confrontation, the practical experience and adaptive mindset would likely prevail over pure technical excellence.